Writer, Chapter 17. Her father had been her first critic. He had taught creative writing in a community college for many years and had worked on his masterpiece novel ever since she could remember. "My dad is a writer," she would tell all her friends at school. It sounded way fancier than professor, even to her back then. Ooh, her friend Lynette was easily impressed. "Like Stephen King?" "Better," she'd said proudly. "Yeah? What's the name of this book?" Barry had asked. She didn't like Barry. He was a big bully who always seemed to be sweating even first thing in the morning. She stuttered. He threw back his head and laughed. "Liar, liar, pants on fire. Neka's a liar." Tears welled up in her eyes, and Lynette, her best friend, had sidled up to her and had slipped her hand in hers. "I believe you. I'm going to ask my mom if we can buy your daddy's book." Neka had nodded. This time the tears in her throat were those of gratitude. There was no book, though, at least not yet. She had asked her father tentatively later when he would be done with his book, and he had all but exploded at her. "You children don't understand the sacrifices I make for this family. You think I want to be teaching these dimwits all day? You think I don't want to finish my book? Nonsense." He had spent that weekend locked in his study with a typewriter, reams of paper, and scotch. As an adult, Neka had often wondered if her father was a frustrated alcoholic who wrote, or a frustrated writer that drank. But at least he was a docile drunk. And drinking and his novel draft was all he had, she theorized, besides a wife who did not share or understand his artistic aspirations, 2 children, and a less than stellar career. The first and last time she had shown him her writing, she had been 13 or 14 years old. She'd been writing here and there, but she knew that this poem was special. It had been something like, "Deja vu, here's thinking about you." She had felt that this was her masterpiece, mature and mysterious. Her friends were still writing "Roses are red, violets are blue," for Pete's sake. He'd read it and said, "Kemma wrote this?" "No? I'd always figured Kemma for the writer." But he'd kept it in his file, where he kept his very important papers, and she had glowed with pride. One day, after one of his drunken writing episodes, she had peeped at the sheet in his typewriter, and there it was, her entire poem, word for word. Neka didn't know if to feel pride or shame for her father, or both. What kind of person plagiarized his own child's work? Even though he knew his book would never be finished or published, she still wished he hadn't done it. And later, when she had mentioned wanting to be a writer and her father had discouraged her, saying, "You want to be like me? Can you not learn from my mistakes?" she had said to herself, "But I'm not you. I'm better than you." Out loud, however, she had said, "Those that can't do, teach." She had regretted it as soon as she said it, of course. But after that, things had never been the same between them. That was the day that they had ceased to be father and daughter, but became rivals, like 2 writers fighting for the last pen on earth. Perfect girl. Tweet.